Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and before we even get started, I want to shout out to Tom. Thank you so much for that tip over at the Rockfin. We are going to try to keep rocking in the free world. Now, some of you are looking at this title and being like, Jason, is this clickbait? Is Spotify really problematic? I don't even like using the term. But I want to bring people in to the true problems with the Spotify platform. I want to talk a little bit about Joe Rogan because his platform right now may be the biggest in the westernized world as far as influential media, period. And that's why he has become such a target, because he also represents masculinity, he represents comedy and free speech, and he is given, quote unquote, a platform, okay, to a variety of voices that go against the mainstream narrative. Love him or hate him. At the same time, Joe Rogan himself, Spotify and otherwise, has golden handcuffs on. And we're going to talk about those golden handcuffs, especially at the end. There are certain narratives that even Joe Rogan will not be able to touch. And when we get to them at the end, I want to say this. When you sign on the dotted line sometimes, you can't do or say what you want. And we're seeing that more and more in society. And Joe Rogan was at his 110,000 times best when what? He was on a live stream, unedited, uncut, on the biggest platform in the world, YouTube. And that's when he had the largest audience. He has a mega audience now over at Spotify too. That's the real deal. Don't get it twisted. But think about that. When you're live, anything can happen, anything can be said. And now, there's some editing done. Things are maybe taken out. I'm not trying to knock that guy. I'm just saying the best work he was possibly doing and could possibly do would be on a platform that was relatively censorship free at the time, YouTube. Okay? And don't get me wrong, they had demonetized things, they had lowered them in algorithms and things like that. But aside from, violent actions or, sexual stuff or, outright threatening to, hurt somebody physically, they were pretty open, right? And that's how you're going to reach the most people, in those type of platforms in a live format. Now that brings me to the main point of this video. What's wrong with Spotify? Well, Spotify, as we're going to show you, is really the mind child that has grown out of what was Napster, okay, into now a mega platform that Sean Parker, who we're going to get into big time, okay, that's the main thing in this video. Sean Parker, okay, helped develop, and now Spotify and Microsoft are kind of blurring the lines. We're going to show you that Microsoft tried to acquire Spotify a few years back, and now Spotify is actually going to be integrated into the next version of Windows, okay? And what this means is that as I continue to talk about things like signature reduction and Trojan horse civilian systems, this is how it works. This is how the infrastructure works. Okay, not everybody, in fact, a very minimal people within the Facebook structure or Twitter structure really truly understand how the narratives are coming down and why they're coming down that way, and who's working within the intelligence community, if you will, or the predator class cartel cabals through their different mechanisms. Right now, their main public face is Davos. It's a public face. That's all it is. All right? And then when you get to things like signature reduction, that's how they are actually achieving this. So we're going to talk Sean Parker. We're going to talk Spotify, Microsoft, and so much more. What I need you to do right now, folks, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, right? I mean, you got to think about this. 65,000 plus. We're 5 minutes deep in a live stream. I can't get 80 people. So I need you to thumbs it up, subscribe and share if you're new to the channel. Remember, everything I got here, all my documentary films, they are free of charge. That's really where you can start to understand how we've evolved into this situation post-World War II, born classified. How this is a global initiative. Loose Change Final Cut and 9/11 film that I think that people need to see. I think it's, very thorough, and Fabled Enemies is one of those films that doesn't look at the physical anomalies and simply brings you through the different apparatuses, nation states, and otherwise intelligence communities, right, that are pulling these things off. Invisible Empire goes deep into what we're about to talk about, okay? And of course, Shade the Motion Picture. If you want to watch a film that lays out how there is a predator class that wants a serf class in a transhumanist control agenda, well, Shade does it. Gives you a 20-minute section on Bill Gates before it was cool. So they're all free. I want you to check them out. We're over on Getter, Rockfin. That's where I'm uncensored. That's where all my uncensored stuff is. You want to see my hour plus with James Corbett? Please go check that out there. I just did The Ripple Effect with Ricky Verandas. When he publishes that, we'll put that up over at Rockfin, probably just a piece over at YouTube. A lot of exclusive stuff. Mixed Martial Mindset, totally uncensored, only at the Rockfin. Okay, so let's start it off. Okay, let's start it off with Sean Parker, Agent of Disruption. And who is Sean Parker? Sean Parker is this gentleman right behind me. We're also going to get into this article as well because it's all extremely important. But this is where, you start to see, wow, Sean Parker, let's just read this second paragraph. Facebook's former president, he's the former president of Facebook. And then we're going to show you how he negotiated deals, okay, in which Zuckerberg would maintain voting control and all these other weird facets. And back in the day when I was with Luke from We Are Change, I often discussed how there was a movement to get Zuckerberg out of there. And I wasn't defending Zuckerberg. I was just talking about how it really seemed like there were forces that did not want him in control. Okay? And that's how there is an ebb and flow in all of this, okay? So Facebook's former president has had a busy typical day. Over the last 10 hours, he's interviewed 2 potential VPs for his new video startup, answered hours worth of emails about the music platform he's backing, Spotify. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Wait, Rogie, is that Sean Parker with Snoopaloop Zuckerberg and the Spotify guy? You bet it is. You bet it is. All right? And met with the potential CEO for his Facebook charity app causes. Oh, that's so nice of him. So to give you an idea of this guy, and you know what? He's the whatchamacallit? He's the, see, it says The Social Network. It actually tells you here. He's the Timberlake character in The Social Network. And again, that's Hollywood propaganda. A lot of that is misrepresented. But here's the deal. He was recruited by the CIA. Okay? Parker's path to Silicon Valley began the day his father, Bruce, formerly the chief scientist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. Okay? So he was his dad, first of all, let's talk about that. His dad was a chief scientist at NOAA. All right? If you don't know about NOAA, all right, NOAA is one of these organizations that talks about not only marine life and atmosphere, but it's heavy into the climate change, very involved in what is called solar radiation management and geoengineering. Okay? So let's start there. And he's the chief scientist. It's like when we talk about the chief scientist over at NASA, Dennis Bushnell, so much, right? Bushnell has a way bigger range, but that would be like a micro Bushnell. We get it? All right, so that's where we're going to start, okay? Let's see. And he taught him how to program on an Atari 800. He was in 2nd grade. By high school, Parker was hacking into companies and universities. So very much on the radar of the military-industrial complex at this point. Now, make no mistake about it, okay? Because at 15, his hacking caught the attention of the FBI, earning him community service, okay? So earliest we know where he's on the radar, absolutely, is getting caught by the FBI. At 16, he won the Virginia State Computer Science Fair for developing an early web crawler, okay, and was recruited by the CIA. Now, instead he interned for Mark Pincus' Washington, D.C. startup Freeloader, okay? Now, think about this. It was an early internet service provider. I believe he made $80,000 for this his senior year. Look, let's imagine that the CIA wasn't able to recruit Sean Parker, which maybe they weren't able to, okay? Do you think the CIA loses interest in a guy like Sean Parker? Do you think that they don't find a way for him to work for them, whether he knows it or not? Maybe hire him at a startup? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened. But you would be a fool when you watch this guy's path to not think that he's there to build these Trojan horse civilian systems, right? Spotify's big break came after the founder got a 1,700-word love letter from Facebook billionaire Sean Parker. And when we go back here and we talk about these negotiations, right? They're talking about some of his startups. Where is it? It's right. It's right here. Parker helped Zuckerberg maintain control of Facebook. At Facebook, Parker negotiated an unusual deal with the company's most powerful shareholders, including co-founder Dustin Machowitz, Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is going to come up later because Peter Thiel, in all of this, when we get to Sean Parker's Bilderberg attendance in 2010, right? All this in 2010, he's getting these write-ups, he's making these deals. All of a sudden, Napster is evolving into Spotify, right? And Zuckerberg is maintaining control. That's not problematic to anybody. Guys, if you haven't thumbed this up over at YouTube, let's get it. Let's get it up. Okay? So they ceded their voting rights to Zuckerberg. This corporate structure gives Zuckerberg complete and permanent control of the company he founded. So they can't be jettisoned the way Plaxo booted Parker. Because Parker had also been thrown out of a couple of these things. You know, some people complained he was a lazy party boy. You know, he portrayed a little bit like that. Obviously a very smart guy. No one's saying he's not. And he's the one that actually tells you that they knew the algorithm was manipulating people's emotions via Facebook, and we did it anyway. I might have to play that video to really give you the impact. All right, the impact of this. All right. So we're going to go back up. So anyone can check this out. I would really appreciate people to actually read into all of what I'm trying to say here. So even this woman, and I picked this because this is a June 2010 tweet. All right. And this woman, KJ Erickson, okay, we're going to go back in a second. She's a CEO at upcouncil.com, operating partner at Enduring Ventures, Stanford, Oxford, YC. She's got 250,000 almost followers, right? So she's very much on the inside of the, techno Silicon Valley, quote unquote elite. Not by any means the people that really run the show. They're part of the working mechanisms. She says, wow, Sean Parker and Peter Thiel are among the delegates at Bilderberg Group Conference. Thiel becomes a steering member. She goes, Thiel I can see, but Parker, really? And it's like, yes, really. Of course Sean Parker is that guy. And there he is. And this is on Wikipedia. I put it here because it's a mainstream thing. This is the 2010 Bilderberg Conference. These are the movers and shakers. This is how these things evolve. This is how the deals are made. Okay? The Trojan horse civilian systems we talk about. Microsoft had plans to acquire Spotify. All right? So, I'm not sure. I wasn't able to find out whether or not they had. I don't know that they have right here. But they are integrating it into Windows 11, which means they're partnering. Okay? So there's a financial interest there. And when there's a financial interest for Microsoft, right, just because Joe Rogan beat Neil Young this time doesn't guarantee you that they're going to be pro-free speech all the time. And this is where we're going to circle back to the Rogan, okay? Because Rogan, even Dana White, have golden handcuffs where they can't and won't speak about the vast amount of evidence that Conor McGregor Now, not almost, over 3 years ago, we're talking 3 years ago. I'm just going to read you what was in the mainstream press. Anybody can go to this thread. In fact, I'm going to put it because a lot of people probably haven't heard this. And here's the deal. McGregor is worth billions to companies like what? Disney, which owns ESPN. Obviously, the UFC is in there. But because of that, they're not going to tell you. There are mainstream news articles that tell you at the end of the day, there is no doubt that this young lady suffered a horrendous ordeal. The examinations and all of the evidence show that she was you-know-what, and very badly assaulted in that penthouse suite. And it wasn't one article. It's still going on. By the way, court's coming up, I believe, in March. Okay, for him. In fact, let's type that in. Let's see if we can find that, so people understand that this is still up to date. Let's see. And thumbs it up. We do it live. Okay. So let's see. That's July 2021. So this is the suit in Ireland, but I think we have one in the United States. 4 weeks ago. What's this one? No. What? No. What? When was this? Oh, that's a hoax. That one right there. So they hoaxed that one. So this dropped. Let's see. That's in Ireland. That's not the lawsuit. Okay? Oh, that's a different one. So this isn't even the bad assault. This is where they arrested him because allegedly he cornered a woman and whipped it out with his security. So this isn't even what we're about to talk about. This isn't 3 years ago. This was in September of 2020. We're talking about December 2018. Okay, so let's read the next thing, because people and if you don't think that Joe Rogan and Dana White don't know about this, Cowboy Cerrone told the reporter who asked him about it to basically shut up and move along. All right. Let's see. Let's get this quote. And anybody can go check out this thread. It's, again, we put it right in there. Mom who accused Irish star of, you know what, was found battered and bruised, discussing made by others. These statements are hugely detailed and complex, and go into minute detail of every aspect of the night and the attack. So in other words, we have CCTV, we have eyewitnesses, we have physical evidence. The guy actually turned himself in, and they didn't arrest him that day because she hadn't named him. They arrest him eventually on January 17th, and then they let him go, and he was still not named through all of this. Okay? Now, again, think about this. If your sister or mother was brutally beaten, and when I say assaulted, I'm being nice. Let's use the R word, hard. But again, I don't want to get in trouble for cyberbullying, right? Woman allegedly, you know what, by Irish sports star was choked during ordeal. There were very clear marks of choking around the woman's neck shortly after the incident on Monday morning. I mean, we keep doing it. Was left bruising after the alleged attack. Suggestions of bleeding. Listen, she was in bits, according to the WhatsApp messages. See, this is where forensically, the hotel room has been identified and examined by forensic experts. CCTV has been downloaded, and they have spoken to the staff. The woman has handed over her blood-stained clothing to the police, and that is now being examined. All this. None of this was in the United States. They never talked about this. Okay? And I mean, let's fast forward. So these are between journalists and anyone can find these too, right? In fact, let's put this in there from the start. Let's give you just this. These are leaked WhatsApp messages between journalists and investigators working on the case. All right? I mean, they think he's gonna be named, right? And then you see this, and by the way, he knows who this person is, friend of the family, single mother. All right? All this is available. He didn't use a you-know-what. Did inside her, left her covered in bruises, and she had throat injuries that were consistent with someone held in a chokehold, like the one he applied in the ring. His DNA was all over. He tried to ride her, V, and then rammed her tampon into her cervix, she had to have it surgically removed. Do I have to tell you anything else? Anyone thinks this woman's a gold digger? She already turned down. Remember, RTE had to leak. That's a huge news agency. Had to leak this. That it was even him. People were calling me a liar. Right? I made this threat a year later. They were calling me a liar. Only 8% of women in Ireland get the convictions on sexual assault. And again, this woman had turned down over $1 million. She wanted criminal charges and they wouldn't bring them. That should disturb people too. Because again, he makes whiskey money and he makes ESPN money and Disney money and WME money. And because of that, a guy like Rogan can't talk about what I just did. And that sucks, Joe. Because I love the sport of mixed martial arts. But you know what I don't love? Violent sexual assault of anybody. And I sure don't like those people being promoted to kids, which they did. That's also in my thread. So, Spotify, danger, Will Robinson. Again, I wish we had a platform for people like Rogan and myself where I could say what I wanted and do it live, and we could share the information, and there wasn't censorship everywhere, but boy, has it crept in big time. So if you like this and you like my stuff, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Remember to Rockfin, where we are 100% uncensored. That's where it's at. Oh, we got another couple Tipskis and Hutch. Elijah said, had a great day at the casino, so paying it forward to the best out there. Appreciate you, Jay, and agreed, as great as Joe has been. Anyone who thinks he's not limited by the predator class isn't thinking it through critically. Look, again, I'm not saying he's, limited hangout, anything. I'm just saying, especially in the case of that, golden handcuffs. Some people, again, look at all these people that can't, look at all these coward doctors. And I'm not calling Joe a coward because he's not. He's been very, very brave. Okay, but that won't just speak up about basic human rights right now. Look at all these coward people in the schools that won't speak up right now. There's plenty of cowards out there. All right, that's all I have to say about that. There really are, and that's unfortunate. So remember to Rockfin. Please come on over. It's free. Sign up. Follow me. If you want to subscribe, that's great. It's $9.99 a month. It does help. $99.99 for the year. You get everybody's stuff. It's not just my stuff. And again, people like myself and T-Lab, and I'm trying to bring Corbett over, we give our stuff away for free anyway, right? You get all the other premium stuff, but you still help support us on a platform that's empowering us through free speech. The docs are free, and the GoFundMe is down below. Could always use some help there. I love you guys. It's not about left or right. It's always about right and wrong. Let's become the great resistance to this very real Great Reset agenda.